Hello fellow travelers of Sanctuary, it is Ebontis, and in this video, I just want to walk you guys through everything you're going to be doing post-campaign and give you some tips to make sure you kind of enjoy your journey through the rest of Sanctuary when you're done with the story. Now, this isn't specifically about like the best thing to do for alts. That's going to be kind of a slightly different journey, nothing too crazy there. But in general, when you're done with the campaign, actually is when some of the game opens up, depending on how much you've explored and what you've done, and also what world tier you're on will make a difference there. But this is going to help you guys get to that next world tier, get up there for the challenging content, and really start making your character very, very strong. Now, I did make a previous video, like 20 things I wish I knew at level 1. I'm not going to rehash a lot of that, so if you haven't seen it, link will be up in the top of the video right now, so definitely check that one out. A lot of you guys have seen that one, so thanks for the support. But in this video, you beat the campaign, now what? Now, depending on how you played through the campaign, my recommendation was to play on Tier 1, have a more enjoyable time in the story, get through that a little bit faster, and then you can start kicking it up. But when you're done with the campaign, I do recommend going to World Tier 2. You're not worried about the story anymore, you've got your horse, so you can run around a lot faster depending on what you're doing. Enemies will be more challenging, and it's time to get ready for more of a challenge as you think about getting up to Tier 3, which we'll get to here a little bit in the video. But monsters will give you more experience depending on if you finish the campaign at 42, you've got a ways to go. And you're going to get a little bit more gold to help you start bumping up some things as well. So if you haven't been on Tier 2 already, now is the time to do that. Alright, so the next thing that you're going to be doing is the Tree of Whispers. Very simple. Go around and just like interact in the zone. You're going to be doing like basically bounties. So like clear the cellar. That's one. You guys know that takes like a minute. Over here, complete an event in the Corpse Whale Deluge. So literally complete a, orange circle event. You'll be good to go. Those are worth 1. Worth 3, harvest venomous motes from enemies. So literally just run around and kill enemies. You kill enough of them, you're going to get enough of the motes, and you're good, you get 3 favors. So if you do 2 of the light pink, worth 1, 1 of these for 3, and then if you knock out the dungeon in that zone, might take you like 15 minutes or so, something like that, 20 minutes, you'll have 5 from that, and that's going to give you a total of 10. When you have 10, you'll come back to the tree and get some rewards. So when you get to 10, the map is going to be pretty obvious, like saying, hey, go back to the Tree of Whispers, and also you'll notice your little kind of bounty icons are grayed out. Now, don't worry if for some reason you were at like 9 points and then you do one worth 3 or 5 and you carry over. You're not going to lose those. It's just when you're done turning in your Tree of Whispers and you get your rewards, you'll start the next one at like 2 or 3 or whatever it was going to be. So come up here at the Tree of Whispers. We're going to get our rewards, and this is kind of what you get. Collection of helms, collection of rings. Sometimes it's going to actually have legendary text here, so it's going to be bright orange. That's like kind of a guaranteed legendary. And every so often you're going to see a collection of chaos. This is like a random assortment, but I do recommend picking this unless the slot that you really need is showing like that legendary text. I understand going for that one, but if you're not entirely sure or not too hell-bent on any one specific one, I would probably go for the collection of chaos, so we'll go ahead and do that. At level 60, it's 126,000 points. Less helpful in leveling there, but still very helpful in leveling for a long way through. And you guys can see I got Angel Breath, Lifesbane, a little bit of good currencies for leveling. I got Sacred Boots, which is going to be good. So I literally got like 634 decent boots, and you got a legendary. And you're going to be able to use that stuff to level up for a long time, still get decent gear. And again, this one dropped at level 60. So even if the armor may not be that high, still dropping pretty good stats for you. So Tree of Whispers from post-campaign to level 100, you'll always be able to do this. And I do want to thank the sponsor of this video, and if you do want to support the channel, best thing you can do is help watch this ad and click on the link. But let's thank Raid Shadow Legends.
Professor Death Knight here from Teleria University, who legally not a school, with a math problem. If you create a hit mobile game in 2019, how many champions will you have now?
100?
Nope.
200?
Nope.
500.
How about nope?
Okay, seriously, how many is it?
Over 700.
Did you say 700?
Yes, very good. Not only does Raid have hundreds of rad champions, call themselves champions? Ha! Oh, keep talking. The longer you talk, the longer I'll keep you all after class.
Hey, be quiet. I've got leveling to do after school.
It also has 15 amazing factions. Faction pop quiz. Can you name the latest faction?
Death Knights?
No!
Okay, I don't know. Who is it?
If you said the elusive Sylvan Watchers, you're right.
Excuse me, Professor Death Knight? Who is your favorite champion?
Why?
Because we just gotta know, but it can't be Ultimate Death Knight. Somebody different.
All right, if I can't say Ultimate Death Knight, then I gotta say Ultimate Death Knight. He's my #1 boy. I'm not supposed to have favorites, but I do.
All right, I should have seen that one coming. But with all these new champions, do you ever feel like you're gonna be outdated, old news?
Replace me? Well, if anybody replaces me, then I get to give them advice about everything I brought to the table, you know? That's just more opportunity to teach. My new passion. That's it for today, class. Your homework is to download Raid. Just kidding, I know you've already done that, so no homework. Except there will be a test of Valor. So study up. But you can use your phones, because it's a mobile game. All right, class dismissed.
Well, along with all the new champions in Raid, the new epic limited series, Call of the Arbiter, is in full swing. And to celebrate, Raid is adding some new characters from the series as champions. The first one is Artak, a mighty orc warlord, and he will be free to everyone. All you have to do is log on for 7 different days before July 24th, and you'll unlock him. And if you haven't started playing yet, use the link in the description or scan my QR code on screen to get your Raid journey started with an epic champion Talia and some other great bonuses so you can hit the ground running. Once you're in-game, find me under the name Ebontis, and if there's still space, you could join my clan as well. I'll see you on the battlefield, and good luck. Now, the next one's going to be Renown. Each zone has Renown that you can earn, and you earn it in 6 different ways. Finding waypoints, clearing strongholds, discovering areas, doing side dungeons, side quests, and altars of Lilith. Now, I recommend from like end campaign to about 65 or 70, focus on these 4: altars, areas, waypoints, and strongholds, because that's going to get you to probably level 3 pretty easily with just some natural dungeons and side quests that you're going to do. Don't focus on 100%ing side quests first off. Some of those side quests are going to be like a body laying somewhere, you got to interact with it and pull a letter off it or something random like that, or like go find a book in the world. They're not really easy to find sometimes, so do not worry about 100%ing those. And I'll explain side dungeons. You're going to naturally do a lot of the dungeons, but there are some that you can focus on if you want to. Altars are good to do because they're interactive maps. You can find every location. You're done with the campaign, so you've got your horse. Every altar is 10 renown, and if there's 33 in a region, you get done with that, that's 330. That's a pretty good bump right there. As you run around and you discover areas of the map, it's nice to know the whole map first off. And as you find areas, you're also going to find waypoints, which are really helpful for fast travel. If there's an event coming up in the world and you need to get there quickly, always good to have waypoints. So those 3 alone, like discovering the map, getting your waypoints, and getting altars. Again, every 30 altars is probably going to be mostly stat ones. So if there's like 116 in the game and 150 altars of Lilith or stats, that's, 300 stat points for your character just by interacting with statues. Easy power, definitely make sure you do that. Strongholds, they are a little more difficult, but being as they're 100 renown, they're probably the best use of your time. You can do a stronghold in the same time it takes a dungeon, and you get 3x the renown. So if you do waypoints, discover the map, altars, and strongholds, you're probably going to be around level 3. Now, the reason I said side quest, if you're in an area and you've got a side quest, sure, do a little bit on it. But the main reason I say don't intentionally, if you have a dungeon that is not related to your class, you have 0 reason to just go do it for just clearing the dungeon. Leave those alone. You're naturally going to do them anyway. But if you have a dungeon that has an aspect that you're looking for, whether it's your class or general, and you want it, do it. By all means, don't let me stop you. But a lot of dungeons are going to have side quests that literally say, go in the dungeon and do something inside the dungeon. You're going to have the Tree of Whispers take you in some random dungeons. Those are good for 5 favors. Pretty efficient use of your time. And then also you've got Nightmare Dungeons later on, which is just going to pick a random dungeon, make it difficult, and I'll cover it later in the video, and that's going to take you to dungeons. So you don't need to ever run around and do dungeons that are not for your character or that don't have something you specifically need for a build. Save those for later, and you're naturally going to do a lot of them. And then side quests, don't pull your hair out doing side quests because they're not that important. I got to level 5 and I still had 8 side quests and I have like 9 dungeons to do and I got all the way up here. So getting to level 3, you barely need to touch those. So Renown, very important getting to level 3. Level 5, that's like level 70 in-game stuff. But get to level 3, get your skill points or your potions, you'll thank me. And then also those free stats from Altars of Lilith, well worth it. Now, every so often you're going to see a Helltide Zone. They last for an hour, so I'm finding it kind of in the middle. but it's there for an hour and then it's gone for like, I don't know, 75, 80, 85 minutes. It's not a perfect hour rotation, but it's not like 3 hours like a world boss. It's like on an hour, off a little bit more, on an hour, off a little bit more than an hour. And what you're going to be doing is you're going to run around and you're going to kill enemies to get this currency right up here. They're called Aberrant Cinders. And what you're going to do is you're going to spend those cinders at one of, say, Tortured Gift of Protection is armor. Tortured Gift of, well, those are all protection. Weaponry, going to be 1 or 2-handed weapons. Jewelry will be rings or amulets, and they have different costs. Like protection armor is generally 75. The weaponry is either 125 or 150. And then the jewelry is going to be 75 for the rings, 125 for the amulets. Now, there's one more type that you won't see, and it's not on the map until you get close. Like, if I run around and I bump into it, you'll see it on the map, but it's only if you're close and you've actually spotted it. It's like a gift of mysteries, and that one's going to be worth 175. Now, it's a random roll of a whole bunch of stuff, but you have a chance to get more than normal because it's expensive to get. But also, you have a little bit of risk and reward. The amount of currency I have right now is 40, but if I die trying to go and save up for a lot, you're going to lose half that currency, which is definitely going to take away from your grind. Now, if you spend a whole hour in one of these zones and you're able to continually kill a lot of stuff, you've got a pretty good build, you can do a lot of farming in here and get a lot of gear. So it's a great place to spend your time. What I'm going to do now is go stock up on some currency. I'm going to buy one of the tortured gifts so I can show you what it's like, but that's pretty much what you're doing. And if you're running around here with a group and you two, like you and somebody, like you work on enemies here and they work on enemies over here and you both clear them out, then go, you know, trade places and you'll pick up a bunch of Aberrant Cinders that somebody else has killed too. So spending time in a Helltide zone is really important. And also, whether it's the tortured souls that you see, which I'll show you kind of a clip of here, and you can actually see if it's got this really bright glowing red thing, interact with that, you'll get extra souls. There's certain things called Fiend Rows and other currencies in here that you get that you're really not going to get anywhere else. So interact with every like pile of ore, every flower or herb that you can pick up, every tortured soul pile that's like glowing bright red. Bosses, doing events, spending time in the Helltide Zone is really important because there's a lot of things that come from here and you get a lot of experience and really good gear. So Helltide Zones are really great. Now let me stock up on some currency. I'll show you the rewards. So here's one of the damned souls as well. Again, glowing red. If you spot one, take that quick second. You're going to get like 4 or 5 cinders, just an easy little bonus to your cinder collection. I'm going to clear this group out real fast, and I'll show you guys the reward section. So this is going to be a tortured gift of boots. Let me make sure I've got some space for them. Probably going to get rid of some junk over here that I've probably acquired for no reason. All right, so it is 75 cinders. Again, this is the cheapest level. Above that, it goes like 125, 150, and the mysteries are 175. But all you're going to do is run around and pick this stuff up along with the other currency you get. And you're going to see like Fiend Rows. This is a very important currency. I got a Pale Barding. I actually got a... Where'd it go? Oh, I actually got horse armor as well. So whether it's cosmetic horse armor that I got, or whether you get a legendary or a unique or rare or sacred, whatever you get, you'll also be getting some of that currency that's very important. So spending time in these zones, honestly, is some of the best time you can get. They're in tier 3 and tier 4 only. So the faster you get to tier 3, the better off you're going to be. So spend time in hell zones and lots of good stuff coming your way. Now, every so often on the map, you're going to see a Legion event. Usually it has a countdown timer. This one's showing active right now, so it may pop off of my map at some point. But the idea is it starts with about a 5-minute timer. If you see it, try and get over there as quickly as you can, because with about 2.5 minutes left or so, there's a campfire you can stand next to. And if you have about 2 minutes or so to stand by the fire, you're going to build up a buff that lasts during the Legion event. And the buff at 15 is just going to get you more and more and more experience as you do the event. Now, the event's pretty simple. Clear as many ads as you can for each wave. When you clear enough ads, you're going to spawn like a mini boss. It usually has some like kind of shield mechanic. You've got to like break like 3 structures. Shields down, the boss usually gets nuked. It gets progressively harder from like level 1 to level 2 to level 3. A lot of teams sometimes do struggle with level 3. It's maybe very tight, or even if you miss that one, it's not the end of the world, because then the Overlord's going to spawn, and you got to go through taking him out. He's pretty chunky, but it's no longer really a timed matter at that point. When you take out the Overlord, then, depending on the number of mini-bosses that you killed, is the number of chests that you're going to get. Rewards are generally pretty good. If you get 3, it's even better, of course, but even if you get 2, which is usually I've seen at least 2, I don't know if I've ever seen just 1 at this point, there's enough strong people out there, you're going to get a pretty good amount of rewards. And it doesn't take that long to do, maybe like 10 minutes. It's not too bad, and you get a lot of rewards for it. So if you see a Legion event pop up, definitely one to go do. You'll be getting some currencies from it that you may not normally see. Definitely one to spend your time doing, and for sure, always nice to get those rewards from a big group activity that you don't have to, like, matchmake into. Now, this is just a very short, like, please don't make my mistake kind of thing. When you get to World Tier 3, you'll have access to Sacred Gear, and it could be Sacred basic stuff, you can have Sacred Legendaries. When you're at the Obols vendor, every so often you're going to have 300, 400, 500, 600, whatever, and you need to go spend them. Don't hold on to them forever because you always want to make sure you can pick up more. Well, when you come back, you'll notice some of the gear, even though I'm level 60, is sitting at 42. Well, that's because it's a basic piece of gear. Some of them are Sacred Gear, and it's at level 60. Now, it's not a guaranteed drop to be a Sacred piece of gear, but if I do buy one, notice this is level 46, so it's got a range, but it's not a guaranteed Sacred. But if you're not buying the one that is like with the Sacred Glow, like all of these have Sacred Glows, amulets don't. Crossbows, caps, tunics don't, but some of the others do. Sometimes you'll find 2 that have the Sacred Glow, sometimes you'll find quite a few more. But generally just make sure when you get to World Tier 3, you're paying attention to which one you are spending your currency on, because I dumped like 600 into the wrong one, so just don't make my mistake. And sometimes you get some pretty good stuff from here, so it's still worth jumping back here every so often. Hope you get something good, but just don't make my mistake and you'll be a bit happier. Now, every so often on the map, you're going to have a world boss show up. Now, there's 3 different ones, and each time you kill one of the 3 world bosses per week, you're actually going to get a bonus cash from it, so they're definitely worth doing. They look on the map kind of similar to the like Legion events, but they have a longer timer, like 25 minutes or something like that. You'll have plenty of time to get there, likely, if you spot it. Now, if you're doing a bunch of stuff and you don't look at the map for a while, you might miss it, but they come around every, I don't know, it's 3 hours during the beta. It's probably something similar now. And the nice thing is, again, it's on the map. Everybody's going to see it who's like, you know, there's going to be a lot of people in your instance or in your zone. And lately, when I've been doing them at Tier 3, they've all been going down pretty quickly. Now, the main reason because of that is there's a lot of people very powerful. You have 15 minutes, these things die in like 3, 4, 5, 2 minutes. Some people can nuke these things really quickly. They, I think, scale to the members in your party, but they don't like overkill the scaling, at least at Tier 3. So they've been very beneficial. You get good currencies, you get rewards, and as I said, if you beat a boss for the first time that week, then you get a grand cash on top of the rewards that drop on the ground as well. So you get double the rewards, you get some good currencies that are for like crafting and altering your gear. So they're cool fights. They're pretty easy to do in big groups right now, as there's a lot of people doing them. So if you see one pop up, you know, you can probably run around for a little while and do other things because the timer is going to be like 25 minutes. You don't need to just stand there. But make sure you give yourself a little time. Get over there. There's no Legion event buff like a campfire or anything, so just get over there before it starts, knock out the world boss, and enjoy the rewards afterwards. Alright, so one of the final things that you're going to be doing is Nightmare Dungeons. So when you do the Tree of Whispers and you open your caches, every so often you're going to get sigils, and these are going to be Nightmare sigils. Now, what they're going to do is allow you to turn a normal dungeon into a nightmare dungeon. They're going to give you 1 buff, and then they're also going to give you 2 debuffs at this level. When you get up into higher tiers of these things, which they go all the way up to 100, you're going to have some really rough dungeons with probably 4 modifiers working against you, and you better have a really good build. Now, these share the same space as your elixirs, which I didn't really pay attention to because you have like now regular level elixirs, like the iron elixir. You also have weak elixirs. I had way too many elixirs in here, so a lot of this consumable slot was full. So I had been picking up a number of sigils, and then there were a bunch that I just like lost to the ether. So make sure you've always got space in your consumables inventory when you're doing Tree of Whispers like cash rewards to make sure you are not missing out on these, because I probably missed out on quite a few. Now, level 1 and level 2, kind of a good way to get you started. They start about level 50, like basically the start of Tier 3. I did a Tier 9 dungeon, and maybe they start at 55. It's kind of somewhere in that realm. It's hard to completely tell. I did a Tier 9 dungeon. I was facing level 62 enemies as a level 60, which was kind of about perfect for me. So the scaling is not perfect, but basically if you do a tier 100, which you can do, it's going to be at like level 150 enemies. Now, these are sacred. The revives allowed are 12. When you get up to higher levels, and also once you beat a tier 3, like when you beat at least a tier 3 or above, you're going to unlock the crafting and salvaging sigils. If I salvage a sigil, it's going to give me some of the currency that I can use to craft a sigil at a higher tier. Notice it's going to cost me 20 sigil powder to craft a 16 to 20 nightmare sigil. Down here, which I'm not even going to mess with right now, it would cost me 350, but this is going to be tier 51 to 60. So this is going to feel like a level 100 nightmare dungeon. It's going to be rough. Also, when you get up to ancestral, which these are, you're going to have less revives. You're going to be down to 4, and you're going to have more afflictions coming at you. So it's going to be rough. So don't waste your currency until you feel like you've got a beast build that you can handle just about anything. But basically what these do is it's going to be hard to miss, because come down here, this is one that I turned into it, Nightmare Dungeon. You'll come down here, I've got a buff of more poison damage, 2 modifiers, you go in, it's still going to be at your level, or it's going to be at that, it's tier, so it's like a tier 3 dungeon, but say this was like tier 6 or whatever, the enemies are going to be, I don't know, 59, something like that. The scaling is a little around like 55 to like 155, but it's not perfect, so I'm not quite entirely sure on the math. But that's the idea. Basically, you'll pick these up from the cache, make sure you have space, you'll turn a dungeon into a harder one, but you got a chance to get some pretty good gear. I got a unique dagger at level 60, like at my level, really good stats. The uniques are even harder to find because they do very special things. Now, it's not saying you're always going to get one in there. I just honestly got purely lucky, but I mean, some people don't feel that these are worth the experience grind, but if you're going for gear that is at or around your level, having the challenge, and of course you're going to have a decent amount of these that pop up every so often, they're worth doing, definitely. Now, some people are going to tell you, go find a dungeon that you can just grind over and over and over and over and over. If you want to do that, that's totally fine, but if you want to mix it up, nightmare dungeons are another way, and a scaling way as you get higher and higher level to challenge yourself, get you some good gear, and definitely give you something a little different to do. So that should cover a lot, if not just about everything of what you're going to be doing post-campaign. When you're done with the campaign, remember Tree of Whispers, knock that quest out so you can start doing that to get better gear. Also work on your Renown to boost your skills, unlock most of the map and waypoints and things like that. When you're capable, doing the Capstone dungeon up here at level 50, or if you're able to beat it sooner, cool, that gets you into tier 3. And then once you're into tier 3, you got Legion events, world bosses, Helltides, nightmare dungeons, sacred gear that you're going to go for. And then when you get to tier 4, take all that stuff to ancestral, and it's even more powerful and even more challenging. So you've got a lot to face, a lot of challenges coming. And then there's even PvP that I really didn't get into as well. That's probably a separate video in and of itself. So I've got more videos coming. I definitely want to do a full breakdown on gear and stats and kind of understanding that as I wrap my head around it and feel comfortable talking about it. So if you're new to the channel, please hit that subscribe button. There's a lot of new people here. I've got more Diablo content coming along with Destiny. If you guys want to support the channel as well, click the link in the description, or you'll see it here on the end card to check out Raid Shadow Legends. And for all of you, if you want to find me on Twitch or Twitter, it's Ebontis. But if you're new, hit that subscribe button, drop a like, leave a comment, say hello, or maybe comment on something I missed. Thank you all very much, and I'll see you soon.